Locations have shifted across continents throughout past generations of Pokemon. Gens 1 through 4 being in Japan, Gen 5 being in the USA, more specifically New York, Gen 6 being in France, 7 in Hawaii, 8 in the UK or British Isles, and 9 on the Iberian Peninsula, that being Spain, Portugal, Andorra. And while each region has brought something new to the table, there's still so much of our world that could translate well to the Pokemon series. Starting with Africa, and there's a lot of beautiful options here. We could go Egypt, East Africa, South Africa. Game Freak could showcase ancient tombs, Cleopatra-inspired elements, ghost, desert, jungle, sand Pokemon themes, savanna reserves, and inspiration for Mount Kilimanjaro, the Nile River, Cape Town, the Sahara Desert. Heck, they could remake the whole Madagascar movie in Pokemon.
Nick's lost again.
And there are so many more landmarks and settings. Australia and New Zealand could also be great options for Gen 10. Down Under, fans could experience an adventure in the rugged outback, where some of the most venomous poison types in the world roam. The Great Barrier Reef could even be an underwater route or city, home to some special, never-before-seen aquatic Pokemon. Sydney could make for the giant city of the region, with the Opera House serving as a hub for performances or gym battles or even contests if they brought them back. And the landscapes of Tasmania could even bring more ecosystems into play. Southeast Asia is also an option, which brings to mind lantern-lit villages, sprawling rice fields, and even volcanic islands, all of which could set the scene for an adventure in culture and history. For some reason, I'm imagining like jungle temples from Minecraft. I don't know why, but each of these could house a legendary. I guess they kind of did that in Gen 7, but I guess more specifically, China would be an obvious choice. A land of ancient dynasties or something like that. There's a lot of history and breathtaking landscapes. There's that myth they could play on that you can see the Great Wall from space even though you can't. The region would have to be pretty vast and expansive, and I think they could do it. Back to the Great Wall. It could be a cool thing that could connect cities or just be one giant route that you go across throughout the game. You'd have bamboo forest and panda sanctuaries, things like that. Towering pagodas could house legendary guardians, and each one could be tied somehow to Chinese celestial myths and folklore. Plus, this would increase Jack Black's chances of being in the next Pokemon movie. No, not that one. One pick I don't hear discussed as often would be the Middle East, such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and other oil-rich nations. But a blend of sand with modern marvels, technology, and ancient history would make for some very cool visuals. Plus, maybe my favorite would be the Burj Khalifa, which has been the world's tallest building for more than 15 years. That'd be like the Prism Tower being the technological wonder of Kalos, but dialed up to 100. The UAE and Dubai would be a bustling city, blending tradition with innovation. It even comes to mind that unfinished project they have where they were building a ton of islands that looked like the world. You could do this with Pokemon, and maybe it'd be their way of finally revealing what the Pokemon world map looks like. But it's kind of a meme because it'd just be a bunch of piles of sand. I don't know. But there would be a lot of room for really fun things in a region like this. I'm kind of picturing Mario Odyssey's Sand Kingdom here, with an obvious heat trope, but also some cool, contrasty, icy settings. And even some underground ruins, poison lakes, and floating temples. Just no bunny boss battles. I don't like those. Or Koopa Trace running. Now, how can we leave off Italy, Germany, and other European countries? Because, let's be honest, they're gonna happen. They're obvious picks, seeing as we've already been to France and the Iberian Peninsula, like we said before, plus the UK. But the Roman Colosseum just seems like low-hanging fruit, and they've got to use it at some point. And the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And Venice. Italy just has a lot, don't they? The Swiss Alps would be a great setting for this piece. It could be like mountains looming over the whole region. If you combined Italy and Germany, you could also just go up through the Alps, end up in these mythical German forests, and cities like Berlin, where you could have the Berlin Wall and split it into two, have two different gym battles depending on the version. I don't know. Again, I said Venice, but like a canal-inspired city would be awesome. Would be kind of funny if the whole joke of the city was like it was about to flood. Do we have a canal-inspired city yet? I feel like we should, but maybe we don't. Come to think of it, I don't know why, but En's Castle gives me Roman Colosseum vibes. It's all I can think about right now. Plus, let's be real, Game Freak is going to do this because if they do Italy, they could reuse a ton of assets from ZA since, you know, like Paris, like European architecture. Maybe I'm way off the mark here, I don't know. But the Parisian themes really scream that, like, you know, European architecture. They can reuse that for sure. Anyhow, South America comes to mind for two reasons. First, all the rich history and agriculture of the Florida area would be insane. It would look beautiful. And the verticality of this region would be so much fun. Representing a mountain range like the Andes could be a huge breath of fresh air for the series. Imagine Pokemon in 2D again, but it's like Terraria style. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here. But it would kind of feel like the Coronet Highlands, like with that kind of verticality from Legends Arceus. It was a nice change of pace from all the wide open zones, just to have one that was so vertical. But let's be honest, the real advantage that South America could set us up for is Legends Mew, because, you know, you'd like find it in Guyana. Anyhow, the Jeff Bezos rainforest could be filled with never before seen species, river towns, and things like that. And oh my gosh, wait, get this. No, this is the best idea for a Pokemon landmark ever. Machu Pichu. Mega Gigantamax Spiky Ear Pichu confirmed. Christ the Redeemer could also be a landmark, but it'd be like this giant statue of Arceus or something. The beaches of Rio could be a hopping place for a main city. And I know we've already got Terrapagos, but the Galapagos would make for an absolutely insane wild area. Or let's be real, it'd be DLC for sure. You get an $80 game. You get an $80 game. You get an $80 game. Okay, while I hate cold things, Canada and the Arctic regions have to be mentioned. I'm thinking if they had to do it, it would have to be like Sonic the Hedgehog, ice level vibes, or at least music as good as those levels. Be a tundra-based region that embraces the beauty of the Arctic. It'd be cool to have one town that's just always in daytime and always in nighttime, like those towns that are so far up on the globe. Oh, sorry, I said globe for all the flat earthers. I'm sorry. But yeah, you know, they're so outside on the disc that they don't get the sunlight. I don't know. But think Alabaster Icelands, but bigger, I guess. Ice caves, frozen landscapes, no crops, just no grass type Pokemon. They're all ice types, or ice and rock types, I guess. But the connection to Inuit mythology would be really interesting. They could really layer the storytelling, and introducing a new setting to the player like Alaska and Greenland could really hammer home those survival elements. And the challenge of the gameplay could be Pokemon and people adapting to the extreme cold. I heard the villain team was a bunch of Unovan gumshoes trying to buy up all the land and melt all the ice. And hey, thanks for sticking with me so far. If you have, consider subscribing. Really trying to make more of these videos, but I need to know people like them. So with that said, we've done the Mediterranean. I know Pokemon has done it a lot, but can we go Eastern Mediterranean? Turkey comes to mind as being beautiful. Istanbul would be a crazy landmark. You could take that right to the Balkans, do Greece, right? Sonic Unleashed comes to mind with the Santorini inspirations. I mean, come on, Greek mythology seems like pretty low-hanging fruit for Pokemon, and they have not maxed out that idea yet. Also, Greece is beautiful. Again, they made Sonic Unleashed beautiful like 20 years ago in this game for Santorini. What are they doing? Can we not do this 20 years later? Legendary Pokemon could easily be inspired by deities and myths, even though they've kind of already used them for a lot of legendaries, but you know, they could bring those ones back and just make new ones. The Olympic Games and Greek gods could play a central role, bringing back the competitive spectacle like the football fields were in Gen 8, just with a more ancient twist. And hey, I just want a good old Spartan Pokemon so we can bring back one of the oldest memes in the book.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Sparta!
But hey, I really want to think about those legendary Pokemon for a second. I've got myself thinking. In earlier generations, legendary Pokemon were each given really distinct mythological significance, but recent designs have been a bit more, should I say, simple? Sword, shield, old bike, new bike. But really, a return to deeper lore would be a welcome shift. And I think it brings some strength and depth back into the series and make box legendaries a little more relevant. Well, hey, I've been ranting for long enough. We'll let this video end on the Balkans, unless you really want to hear my Pokemon in space theory. And with how much I fall asleep to astronomy videos, we'd be here a while, and I don't really think you have time to listen to me talk about that. Or do you? Maybe I'll make that video. Anyhow, hit that like button, subscribe, watch another one of our videos, just so Caden can stop paying his rent with seltzer bottle returns, IOUs and scrap money from door dashing the Burger King $1 nuggets to the South Park binge watcher across the street. And Game Freak, make a David Goggins Pokemon. Stay hard. Happy hunting. And they're bringing back the sound.